to not to speaking and ensure that all are muted till you can raise your hand through the button downstairs. And if you have any question or thought during the meeting, please feel free to use chat or raise your hand. We'll make sure we address all of your concern. And let us make the most of our time together, inshallah. Our guest today is Dr. Hani Manna, who was with us 3 weeks ago with the topic insight into the concept of philanthropy, humanitarianism, and human work, part 1. And he will be with us today also. And to talk the same topic, part 2 of it. For those who missed part 1, please go back to the YouTube and search Introduction to Philanthropy, Creationism, African Network for Social Integration, part 1. Mind you that this series of lectures from Dr. Hani are organized by African Network for Social Integration, ANSI. Dr. Hani is born in Egypt and completed his bachelor degree of medicine in Al-Azhar University, and he also obtained a diploma in Islamic studies in 1976. And he also got awarded a prize, Hamilton Bailey Prize in Medicine at City Hospital, previously known as Dudley Road, Birmingham, UK, in 1981. He then went on to further studies, his medical training, and completed his doctorate of medicine in fetal pathology from the University of Birmingham Medical School in 1991. Dr. Hani is the founder of Islamic Relief, the largest Western-based Muslim international relief and development NGO. He is also the founder and chairman of various charitable organizations. He was a founder and chairman of the World Humanitarian Action Forum, but previously known as Humanitarian Forum, which is a global initiative organized by several humanitarian development organizations that aim to encourage effective collaboration to better serve affected communities. Other organizations served by Dr. Hani, Muslim Charities Forum, MCF, and Zakat House in UK, to name a few of them. Before giving the mic to Dr. Hani, Mr. Ali, Mr. Dr. Ahmed Abdul Karim. Ahmed Abdul Karim, Dr. Ahmed, are you there? Dr. Ahmed?
Yes, I'm there, Sheikh
Yes,
Saeed.
can
I'm
you
very,
say some
very
dua
happy.
before starting our Zoom meeting? Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm doing.
Please.
Thank you for this join. Thank you, Dr. Hani, for his time.
تفضل.
Thank you for your time, Dr. Hani.
Dr. Ahmed.
Yes, I am very, very pleased. I am from ANSI Sudan. I'm Dr. Ahmed Abdul Karim.
Yes.
Pleased to join this the second part. I am very interested in these topics, insights into the concepts of philosophy and humanitarian and community work. Thank you so much, Dr. Hani. I represent Sudan, and there is a lot of my colleagues will join us, inshallah. Thank you.
جزاك الله خير. Shall I start, Brother Saeed?
Yes, go on, Dr. Hani, please.
Alhamdulillah, Wassalamu ala Rasulullah. First of all, I did not introduce myself last time. Myself, I am a byproduct of community workers and community needs. Countries like Sudan, country like Bosnia, country like Bangladesh, country like Pakistan, country like Syria, country like Lebanon, and country like Palestine. When we started our work without knowledge, these countries were the teachers who taught me. So for every and each one of us, we have to understand that the real teacher of each and every one of us is the right holders. The right holders is a new name to replace the name of beneficiaries. When we come and look at the previous talk, it was mentioning 6 points. Point number 1, introduction. Point number 2, what is the difference between traditional and non-traditional relief work. Point number 3, we discuss the donor culture. Point number 4, how to make our organization independent and sustainable. Point number 5, the role of women and youth and building leadership of the future. This is what we discussed in the introduction in the last meeting or last lecture. Today, we'll talk about other 6 points. First of all, principles of management and good governance. Second, ethical behavior management department. Third is redefining the job description. Fourth is administration cost and its relation to the organization. Number 5, zakat and its soft power. Number 6, the value of research and knowledge department. Number 7, what's your vision for the future direction? Next slide, please. Next slide.
Yes.
I think if I have not mentioned this in the last talk, one of the challenges we put to you and the other organization is to redefine the defined definitions. The first column on the left, I think we mentioned it before, is the source of it is human being. The legislator is human being. It comes from the humanitarianism, humanitarian, humanism. The second, the middle row, is talking about the creator, as legislator, and the judge. And it goes down as he is the supreme guide for all of us. The third one is coming from creaturitarianism, creaturity, and others. My appeal to you, don't take things for granted from other people. Actually, if you don't like any definition, any explanation, do make your own definition or do review their definition and correct and make a new definition. This is in a nutshell. Okay, next one, please. The first principle of management, good governance. Maybe, as I mentioned before, we learned a lot from our Western brothers and sisters. We are indebted to them of starting this humanitarian movement, the structured one, the organizational one, the institutional one, more than 1 century ago. And we took from them a lot, actually. But that does not mean that we do not revisit the governance issue, revisit the definition, as I mentioned before, and look at it from our perspective, from our value-based culture, from our philosophy of thinking, from our moral values, from our history, from our principles. That's why we need to look back at what are the values and the ethics in our religion, in our culture, in our philosophy of thinking, in our past, and even our language. Because if we speak the Arabic language, it is the richest language on earth and the everlasting language for humanity, not only for the Arabs. So here, the challenge is not only to revisit the definition, but to revisit the whole structure. You know why I'm talking about this? Because what we have seen after September the 11th, my personally, can you bring the slide of the definitions of the creaturitarianism? Please. No, up, before. I was this one. No, this one. The slide, this one. After September 11th, we found the people who are using humanitarian terminology are not fair. The human was not fair. 2006, we started the terminology of creaturitarianism, which is the blue top one. Then a few months ago, we started creatitarianism. This is not properly spelled. Creatitarianism. Here, we go back to the other table, Fatma. And here, it is your right and your absolute right to bring your definition, discuss it, and promote it, and let people trial behind it. We mentioned all these principles, which are principles of Islam and commonly shared with others. We can add on top of this our own definitions, our own values, our own principles, our own direction. We are not less than anyone else. We are like them, maybe quite often, sometimes better than them. If the brother who introduced me, if you remember the Sudan Lifeline in the 80s, was created by the local community in Sudan. So there's a lot of genius people in Africa. They have to stand up and get the right taken back and lead actually the process of putting these principles on the national, regional, and international arena. Thank you. Next one, please. Second point, why I'm talking about ethical department. Why? Because we're looking at the human resource department. It became like employment, sacking, rights, policy, procedures. It's not as it was before, for many reasons. Because our organization became very big and we want to control it. And we forgot the ethical value and the moral value of the individual workers inside the organization. And we're just treating it with just one workshop on one policy, and that's it. I felt, not only myself alone, I felt the need for charitable, Christianitarian, not humanitarian, as I mentioned before, and social institution to establish a new department focusing on promoting and implementing ethical behavior and values. Because human resource department, unfortunately, cannot do it now anymore. This need arises from the shift of human resource departments into mere personnel affair, concerned only with recruitment, rewards, and disciplinary action. The goal of this department should, I want you to think seriously about it, or unit, not to preach da'wah or hidayah, but rather translating, listen to this carefully in the red, translating ethics and human values into practical application. Ethics and human values into practical application. Institutional policies, field programs, societal role modeling. It aims to instill values, morals, behaviors, and cultures in the hearts and mind of all employees within this institution and inside also the volunteers and the local community. This is the purpose of trying to make a different department next to human resource department. Next one, please. Next one. What roles will this humanitarian, and I'm not going to call it humanitarian now, I'm calling it Christianitarian ethics department undertake? First, promote reading, knowledge seeking, and guidance through encouraging continuous learning to become, let us to become the learning organization and providing mentorship. This kind of direction is extremely important for every individual inside the organization to deal with it. This is number one. Number two, programs and training, conducting training programs at the main office and even the field offices through an impressive approach. What is this impressive approach? We don't just get consultants to give us workshops or training program, but also we get creative individuals and positive societal role models who made achievement and made positive impact on the local program and the society that they are helping. We not only take the knowledge from a consultant, but take the knowledge from the people who has the history and the experience and have this impact, positive impact of social change on the local community and the international community. So invite in our training programs those kind of individuals. If I mention some names that you will know, if Abdurrahman Sumait is alive, he should be number one. If Sheikh Dabagh from Qatar is alive, he should be number one. If Mubarak Qasamallah from Sudan, he should be alive, he should be number one. If Abdullah Sulaiman Awad is alive, he should be number one. And if Farid Qurashi from Saudi Arabia is alive, he should be number one. We've got too many number one that we don't invite because they are not consultant. But those people who have got the social positive impact on the local society and international society. This is number two. Number three is encouraging practical role model through how can we create role models from our young people? Setting standards, policies, practices for exemplary conduct with everyone involved in their review and implementation. Yani our aim is not only just to make 10 program, but our aim is this program should lead to creating role models, male and female, as I mentioned last talk about the role of women in our social work. Next, please. What is the impact and benefits from this? It builds organizations on a solid foundation or value-based foundation supported by a strong internal environment. We have, and this is to all of us, to change the internal climate and the environment and make it conducive based on what? Moral values, not only technical values, not only programmatic values, not only financial values. Clear? Create new humanitarian community or new Christian community within and around the institution to maximize the impact. Your impact is not going to only to impact your employees, but the volunteers and the local community and the right holders, as I mentioned before. To develop young community leadership, our role, brothers and sisters in the room, is to keep creating young leadership. While we are in office, your job, while you are a manager or director or CEO or a chairman, one of your tasks is to keep developing and bringing young leadership. Our success or failure will be one of it is how many young leaders have been trained under you before you leave your position. Develop young community leaders to carry forward the mission and promote cultural and moral values both within the institution and with the wider community. They will see you, as the Prophet ﷺ was described, قُرْآنًا يَمْشِي عَلى الْأَرْضِ كَانَ خُلُقُهُ الْقُرْآنِ. They will show you a Christian individual, an individual which cares actually for every creature of Allah and being guided by the Creator Himself, Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. This is the impact and benefits of the outcome of this ethical department. Next one. Point number 3. Brothers, focus with me because we are putting these new things on the table as a challenge. We are not going to be doing what we've been doing 100 years ago, 50 years ago, 20 years ago, 5 years ago. No, we have to think outside the box. Why I'm saying to try to write a new job description. Our field work, whether social or humanitarian or, is very complex, very diverse. And quite often, you wake up in the morning, you find an earthquake here, volcano there, flood there, as had happened a year ago. Conflict in Sudan, earthquake in Morocco, earthquake in Afghanistan, earthquake in Syria and Turkey, storm in Libya within 6 months. What to deal with it? This complexity is making a lot of pressure on each and every one of you, plus the climate change, plus the economical problems, plus a lot of things. All these challenges, among others, have led the workers like you and myself to behave like firefighters. We treat the symptoms, but would not treat the root causes of the problem, because we have no time, we have no time to think. We have no time to think. The new job description will introduce a key element that enables all of us to think, read, deduce, offer opinion, and create solution and future plans. Based on an ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in Surah At-Tawbah, فَلَوْلَا نَفْرَ مِنْ كُلِّ فِرْقَةٍ طَائِفَةٌ يَتَفَقَّهُوا فِي الدِّينِ. This small group of people have to be specializing in reading, right? But now, not only the small group, we need everybody in the organization to think, to read, to contemplate, to write, to engage, to attend, to listen, to produce, and to present. Okay? Plan and solution. It is not acceptable, look at this in red, for us, all of us, to be like cogs in a wheel. No. In a machine. No. That operates day and night with no one of us to guide it, to manage it, to maintain it, to preserve it, to develop it, and to produce a new cog wheel machine. It is not acceptable anymore. We thank our brothers and sisters from the West who started, but now we have to start. And this is our new call, as we call it, the new adhan. وَأَذِّن فِي النَّاسِ. Ibrahim sallallahu alayhi salam was making adhan in the middle of Mecca. No one was there. But we have to make the adhan. And you people have to be the mu'adhin. You people have to be Bilal, who is following Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Next, please. Rewriting the job description again will allow us to do what? To have the ability to read. Listen to this. People might say to me, this will cost us money. Yes, it will. Yes, you have to invest. But after that, the reward will be abundant. Have the ability to read everyone, not only the CEO or the directors or the managers, from the cleaner top to the chairman, and from the chairman down to the cleaner. Have the ability to read, explore, listen, analyze, and write opinion. Even I want the security man, the driver, the cleaner to write opinions, solution for many problems. Attend lectures, conferences, seminars, forums, workshops to learn from new developments and the experiences of others. Travel to the field to listen from you. I am telling you, I learned my trade as a humanitarian worker from Sudan to start with, from Bosnia to start with, from Pakistan to start with, from Bangladesh to start with, from Sabra and Shatila in 1982, from Hama in 1982, from the famine in Eritrea, 1983. All these are or were my teachers. Okay? Travel to the field, encourage employees or young people in the organization to find solution. Ask them to come out with a solution. Write out how to implement this solution and present them to not only the chairman or the executives or the managers or the director will write the solution. Ask everybody for it. Ask everybody for it. You might find the solution coming from the cleaner, come from the tea maker, come from the driver, not only from the CEO. And this happened many times. Increase trust standards. We have once you engage the small or the actually the employees and the volunteer in the discussion, this will increase the trust in the organization and will give you more and more and more. You might not say, you might say, okay, oh yes, he's a volunteer or she's a volunteer. No, she might have or he might have far more better idea than myself. This will increase the trust in the organization. Trust is, what is a trust definition? Trust is the foundation of success, finding solutions, and excellence, which in turn increases cohesion, unity, and institutional belonging, removing psychological barriers between them as volunteers and young employees, and discovering the capabilities and the skills of everyone. I have been approached by one of my brothers who said the same to the big gunshot in the West, in Switzerland and Germany. He said, you know what? I said, what, Abdurrahman? He's from Somalia, Abdurrahman Sharif. They want to create a job description for a thinker in the organization. I said, ha, 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 ha. One man to think, one woman to think. We need to let every individual in the organization to think. Because we don't know the great idea will come from whom. Clear? Next, please. So, come to the practical side of it. If I'm talking about writing, reading, all these sort of things, you have to give the percentage of time. If you are the president, we give you 70 to 80% of your time to read, to think. And I used when I was actually 15 years ago. One of my colleagues, his name is Sir Nicholas Young. He was the CEO of British Cross. British Cross budget at that time for 500 million, just UK. 80% of his time or 70% was he's abroad, reading, writing, talking, delivering, advocating. And 20% directing, not managing. Directing, not managing. CEO, 70% reading, thinking, guiding, and 30% directing the managing directors. Senior executive, 50%, 50%. Middle executive, 40% reading and thinking, and 60% managing executives. Junior executives, 30% reading, thinking, and 70% managing executives. Coordinators, 75%. Staff, junior staff, and secretaries, 10 to 20%, and thinking about 80%. Operational people like cleaners, tea makers, drivers, security guards, 10% thinking. And we have to make them accountable to the time they're getting to think about it. Everything has to be measured. So we talked about the new job description. We talked before that about the ethical department. And both of them should marry one another. Next, please. Here, we are suffering from people who keep saying that 0% admin cost. I'm saying, and you can quote me, if they don't declare the source of admin expenditure as a budget coming to them as donation, they are liars. Nothing called zero admin cost. Nothing called 100%. And this is impacting you. Because some organization will come to you in Africa will tell you, I'll give you the money, but no admin. Or 2-3% admin. You have to unify yourself and stand up and say, no, we don't want your money. How on earth I implement a project with no administration? I have no money. I'm a poor organization. So whoever saying zero admin cost, tell him, thank you. Where do you get the admin cost from? If it's waqf, okay. If it's donation, okay. If it's investment, okay. Just declare it as in-kind donation. But don't say zero admin cost. And ask your donors when they come to you in Africa, tell them, please, brothers, we need at least to have 5 to 7% admin cost for the local program. So if you give me $100,000, £100,000, or 100,000 dinar, give me 7 up to 7,000 dinar to be my local operational cost. This is number one. Okay? Clear? Next, please. Let us have some calculation here. I'm just trying to put this calculation as a guideline. It's not Quran. If you are a young people initiative, it could go from 1 to 3%. If you are a mosque, it could be up to 3% because it depends. All those kind of organization or initiatives are based on volunteerism. Maybe up to 3%. Sometimes goes more. Because in the mosque, you might need even to employ maybe imam, to employ muadhin to others. Maybe 1 to 3% or 3 go to up to 5%. If you have got a small organization working in the neighborhood, actually only as a local CSO, civil society organization, or community-based organization, CBO, it could go from 3 to 5% because you are working in one the residential area in a small village. If you go from the residential area and the neighborhood into a city, it could go to 7 to 10%, 5-7%, up to 10%. It depends on the size of the city. Don't fool yourself and say my admin is zero. Nothing called admin is zero. Don't reduce the admin. Ask for it. But you cannot function without admin cost. I said city association or city organization, 5 to 7%, but in bigger city could be up to 10%. If you are, what do you call it, district organization, it could be 7-10% rising. And like مثلا, if I'm in Sudan, in Darfur area. If I'm Kenya, maybe in Mandera area, 70 to 10%. We go out in bigger area to areas to about 12%. If you are on the national level, it goes from 10 to 15%. If I gave you an example of a country like Sudan, Bismillah, mashallah, I hope Allah keep it one piece,
Ameen, Ameen.
and all the countries, Syria and other, it will never be less than 15%. You know why? Because of the road condition, because of the size of the size of the area, and because of the difficulty of finding right people here and there. You have to train everybody, and might go up to 15-18%. Don't let people to fool you. You have to calculate everything according to your need as local organization. Then if it's an international organization working in headquarter maybe in London or in Riyadh or in Kuwait and working in about 7 or 8 or 10 countries, it goes from 15-20% up to 25%. And sometimes, listen to this, in a difficult area like South Sudan during the conflict, the admin cost goes up to 60%. You know why? Because airdrops. There was no road during winter. They have to use a plane to have the airdrops, and this happened in Mosul and happened actually in other areas. So admin cost does not have a ceiling. It depends on the condition of the community and the condition of the what do you call it, logistics in this country or in this area. Next, please. This is the point number 4. Number 5 is zakat distribution. Here another eye-opening. We knew that we have 8 categories of zakat, no doubt about it. But now, let us ask our ulama, can we spend zakat money on cultural matter, education, arts, literature, drama, history studies, research, community awareness raising? Can we spend zakat on training, rehabilitation, capacity building, investment in developing young people, community empowerment? Can we spend zakat on national reconciliation, peace building, advocacy? Can we spend the zakat money on preserving and protecting national identity, community icons like the ulama and like the historical leaders, combating social diseases? Can we develop programs, spend it on developing programs, projects, sports programs? Can we spend it on environmental conservation, combating climate change and environmental pollution? These are questions, brothers and sisters in this room. You have to ask the ulama. Can we spend the zakat on this or not? Ask them to think outside the box. Next, please. Recently, after the World Humanitarian Summit, which was held in Istanbul 2016, one of the outcomes of it was Islamic social finance. It means that United Nations is going to raise fund from zakat of the Muslim. When we asked them, I was in this meeting, when we asked them why we don't call it faith-based social finance, said no, you have a problem with the banking. You can't transfer fund. The problem is for you. So we take your money and transfer it for you. We were against this, but it's happening nowadays. And since 2016, they created a department to try to raise this fund from zakat. Up till now. There is hundreds of millions. And now they are making another department for waqf. And some of our great organization, Muslim organization, are supporting them in this. They have taken in 2016, 2017, 16 fatwa from ulama according to the need. You know what the question was given to the ulama? That some of you know them. We have a problem with Muslim organizations. They cannot transfer money. Okay, because the bank is stopping them. This is number 1. Number 2, we have another problem. Another solution, that we are not going to take any admin cost from the zakat fund. We'll pay the admin cost from our departments in United Nations. Number 3, we're going to give this money to Muslims. So all the ulama, 16, without mentioning the names, approved this without understanding that zakat is not only a transaction. Zakat is community building, community trust, and community culture. So my fear, and put it at your hearing, if this becomes mandatory, especially on the big donor in each country, you will not find your millionaires in your country give money to you, but goes there. Unfortunately. Next, sister. If we want to give to others, well, I have no problem of giving zakat money to a non-Muslim organization. Just to tell you that I'm not radical, okay? But with conditions. 2 principles condition and other conditions. The 2 principles condition, number 1, zakat should not be given to a religious institution, non-Muslim, whose beliefs and doctrines oppose Islam. You have to identify who is your recipient. The Zakat fund would aid this institution in spreading the religious message which conflict with Islam. This is a principal condition. Number two, principal condition, this institution should not be intellectually, culturally, humanly, value-wise, or philosophically oppose the philosophies, path, and ethics of Islam. From there, if you are not doing this, I have no problem. This is the principal condition. The other condition is, as we all know, Zakat is a fundamental pillar of Islam and a key soft power of faith, along with other rituals like Zakat al-Fitr, charitable activities, Qurbani, all these sort of things. We have to put conditions as well and to understand what is the soft power of Zakat. Brothers and sisters, Zakat is not a transaction. Don't let people to fool us. Zakat soft power is strengthening Islamic spirit among the right holders and Muslim donors, building trust in donors amongst the right holders, promoting Islamic principles, values, ethics, culture amongst the right holders. Other non-Muslim organizations will not do this. Raising awareness of Islamic history, Sunnah, lives of the Prophet, prophets, not only one prophet and all the prophets and their companions. Enhancing community cohesion by supporting local civil society institutions and investing in the future. Once upon a time, there was a donation of Palestinian to the Syrian. The Syrians were in a very difficult situation. Middle of winter, snow, tent were broken, and the donation come from refugees of Palestine. This is the enhancing community cohesion, whether the community is local and international. Promoting Islam's humanitarian message or Christian message. Fighting Islamophobia and opposing religious hatred. These are some of the soft power of Zakat. If somebody asks you, why don't you give your money to a non-Muslim? I said, yeah, get it with this condition. Understand what are the soft power of Zakat, then put the principles condition of giving to an organization which are not Muslims. Next, please. More conditions. Managing Zakat, well, actually, in managing Zakat, whether should be managed by a Muslim who knows the deen, not anyone, whether in the central office, in this organization, or in the field office. And I prefer in the field office that this one individual to be a woman. And I discussed it before in the previous talk. We don't oppose UN, an institution, performing this role, but with these above conditions. And if non-Muslims can achieve this to serve Muslims with Muslim funds, especially through reputable UN institution, then it is a success for all of us. But don't give your money without any condition. If you can, the best is you take your money yourself. If there's a law, it has to put a condition. Don't give like actually in the previous talk, I talked about donor culture. You are not going to get any money from any donor unless you follow the culture. And here, I'm talking about principles of spending zakat. Next one, Sister Fatima. Research and knowledge. Subhanallah. The first word or the first ayah or the first statement came from Jibreel to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Iqra. Read is not only tasked to read, but what do you mean by reading? It is thinking about the foundation of change. It is a study, is the basis of development. It is for research, is the basis and cornerstone of empowerment. Without research, you cannot empower people. The word read is foundation of change, basis of development, and cornerstone of the empowerment. It's nation tasked with diligence. For diligence drives renewal. Cannot renew our approach unless we are diligent. It's a nation tasked with progress to lead to the advancement of people. Without progress, we cannot advance our communities. It's a nation tasked with building to establish the civilizations of nations because we are highly civilized people. But our civilization has to be based on research, knowledge, and study. It's a nation guided by Islam to ascend to the highest peaks. Islam is the peak. Its authority is faith. A faith validated by action. Let's read. Faith validated by our action. It's a guide. Its guide is the Prophet ﷺ, a beacon of hope for the humanity or Christianity. His ultimate goal is to please Allah, the most merciful, the most merciful, the aspiration of the determined. This is the meaning of the word Iqra, which is not just read and write, because Allah knows and Jibreel knows that Muhammad does not read and write. Why did it ask him to read? Go beyond the literal meaning of the Arabic word and go to the depth of the dimension of the parameters of the word read. خلق إنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم. القلم means writing, documenting, classifying, archiving. The ummah of Iqra should not be an ignorant ummah anymore. Research has to be a part of our budget, part of our program, part of our development, and part of our direction. Yes, sister, this is the 6 points. Point number 7. What's your vision now? You people in this room, do you have a vision? If you don't have, find one, make one, develop one. Do you want to be a local organization? Do you want to be a national organization? Do you want to be a continental organization? Do you want to be a global organization? Or do you want to be a universal organization? Entirely up to you. And I say, from my own belief, very limited knowledge of Islam, every Muslim is a universal citizen, belongs to the universe. They does not only belong to the globe. Globe is very small compared to one galaxy of the 2 trillion galaxies in the universe. And you, brothers and sisters in the room, have to let yourself to believe that you are not a local only, you are not a national only, you are not a regional only, you are not continental only, you are not global only, you are universal. Up to you, brothers and sisters, to make your organization to rise in these levels. Thank you, Sister Fatima, and thank you, Brother Saeed, and thank you, all of you.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much, Dr. Hani.
I have about 10 minutes because I have another meeting.
Yes, yeah. We will have some few minutes, 2 minutes for all three for question and answer, and then we welcome Sheikh Mohandes Jabir to finalize our meeting, inshallah. Brother, welcome. If you have a question, clarification, it is your time now. Please welcome. Any question?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, Dr.
Salam Dr. Ahmed,
And
yes. Welcome.
thank you. I am very pleased to be part to join this very valuable and priceless presentation from Dr. Hani. And I will for us I will do establish the department especially regarding ethics and value as this presentation, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair. Maybe you'll be in touch with Sister Fatima. She
Okay.
has some writing in Arabic and English. You can
Okay.
and you can be in touch with me as well. Either
Okay.
Fatima or myself.
Okay. Okay.
But
Thank you.
Fatima is my boss.
Okay.
MashaAllah.
MashaAllah. Tabarakallah. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Okay.
There is a question in the chat. There's a question in the chat.
Yeah. Go on,
Yes.
Mr. Fatima.
السلام عليكم.
عليكم السلام. تفضل.
I'm your brother Dahlan from Comoros.
كومورس. بسم الله ما شاء الله.
جزر القمر.
طبعا. بسم الله ما شاء الله.
You see, I was surprised when you say that some ulama said that we can give zakat to the United Nations in a condition that they should follow the Islamic rules.
Yeah.
And then I know that in Comoros we have the UNDP and all the international organizations here. I have never heard that the UNDP has a project of building mosque or building Islamic schools. But all what I hear from them is that we don't mix between charity and religion. We just help people. We don't like any ideological agenda. They do so many things. They distribute condoms to the youth. They distribute pills to the women so they will not get pregnant. I never ever heard that it's possible that a fund of zakah sent to the United Nations to be used in Muslim world. And
Yeah.
Comoros is 100% Muslim.
Yeah, Jazakallah khair, brother. As I said, if you did not catch what I'm saying, one of the recommendations of 2016 World Humanitarian Conference was Islamic social finance. Islamic social finance was based on taking the zakat and giving it to United Nations to distribute it on behalf of the Muslims. And they started doing that. Not only United Nations is doing that, big organization in UK are taking it. In UK, and taking zakat and employing Muslims and making Islamic Sharia Council in their organization to convince the big donor, the big Muslim donor, that we are going to be compliant to take your money as zakat and distribute it. This same organization you're talking about. And this is happening for the last few years after 2016. And some of the Muslims, scholars, 16, because I had a discussion with the one in charge of this department at the UN. I'm not going to mention names. He told me, listen, I have 16 fatwa. Who are you? Talking about me. He said, I'm not Mufti. But the question they asked is, they asked the Mufti, Muslim organization cannot transfer fund because of the bank. Okay? And we take the money, give it to the Muslims, and we don't take admin cost. So all the ulama superficially agreed. 16. Okay? Whatever. But now it moved from UN into other organizations. One or two of them are proselytization organization. They can imagine that they say this is what we do, but still having this department of what they call it, Sharia Council department to regulate zakat. And if it comes as a mandatory from United Nations, brother, the countries by law will tell you, especially the big donors, the millionaires, to give it to them. If you don't give it to them, you'll be listed. So what I'm raising this point is because they know, you all knows my opinion since 2016. But I'm alone, or we are alone. That's why we're spreading this to discuss it amongst your ulama. If we were forced to do this, don't we put conditions or not? We have to put conditions. As I mentioned, the soft power of zakat. Zakat is not only transaction. Transaction is the least. Zakat is a community building, moral building, historical teaching, and all these kind of things. That the ulama have to think seriously about the different dimension of zakat apart from the 8 categories which mentioned in the Quran. Jazakallah khair, brother.
Thank you, Mr.
جزاكم الله خير. جزاكم الله خير.
And we have another question in the chat. Someone asked from South Africa, I think Brother Tuso, is asking that, but we as Black South African Muslim are not considered Muslim enough. I wonder when we are ever going to be assisted to actually develop. That is a question from Brother Tuso from South Africa.
Can you say it again because I did not understand the question?
We as Black Muslim South African
Black
are not
Muslims.
considered Muslim enough. I wonder when are we ever going to be assisted to actually develop.
Well, there's nothing called the black Muslim and non-black Muslims.
Yes.
And the great example is Hazrat Bilal. Hazrat Bilal was one of the greatest companions of the Prophet ﷺ, and they on the same height and same status of Umar, Abu Bakr, Uthman, and Ali.
Yes.
There's nothing called black and non-black. Even Habashi, who killed Habashi radiallahu anhu, who killed Hamza radiallahu anhu, when he became Muslim, خلاص, finished. Nobody looked at his face. Nobody looked at his color. Because Islam clear was before. يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل تعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم. The best amongst us, not the white, not the blue, not the red, not the brown, not the yellow, not the Arab, not the African. The most pious is the one which we're talking about. It could be a bad practice by some organization, unfortunately, in South Africa. I know where he is coming from. I know that. It could be some practice, mispractice. We can let you to be connected to Islamic Relief Office in South Africa and to the director or there, and we can send you his telephone number if you want. But it is some bad practice from some individuals. It's not a common thing. You have the right, that's why we changed the name of beneficiaries more than 20 years ago into right holders. Every individual in need is a right holder, and he has the right in the fund that we have. Our employers are the poor people. As I mentioned, I am one of the students of those countries I mentioned before. Any employee, whoever is he, a director, a CEO, a manager, he is employed by the right holders, by the poor and the needy. You know why? Because the money comes to organizations, come to them, not to him. So he has to be treating those right holders as Umar was doing it, and his grandson Umar was doing it, as Abu Bakr was doing it, because we have this certain principle, value. We have to apply it in our organization. Thank you.
And
so can I, is more or we have to leave?
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Hani, for your insightful presentation. We really appreciate the time and effort you put into it, mashallah. And to our participants, big thanks to everyone who joined us today. We appreciate your participation and engagement. With that, I think we have covered everything for today. We have to conclude our meeting. Till next time, inshallah. Inshallah, we'll announce the coming lecture from Dr. Hani or anyone else, inshallah. Be keeping in touch, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh. Any from Dr. Hani?
Thank you.
No, that's okay, fine.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right.